This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us. Colorado is experiencing devastating wildfires, and they're teaching us some important life lessons. This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard along with Tom Minnery, our Executive Director. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Stuart.
We've all been watching the news about the wildfires on television, but we've also had an unsettling front row seat here in the building that we're in. We are sitting right here less than a mile south of the evacuation zone. We could see the smoke plume from our parking lot. We could watch the firefighting aircraft working to contain it. Many of our co-workers and friends were kicked out of their houses, and some sadly lost their homes.
Well, yeah, and this has been the worst wildfire in the history of Colorado, surpassing a record set just a year ago when back then we had what was then the worst wildfire. Back then we lost 347 homes, and this year it's about 480 homes. And a lot of us are asking, is God trying to tell us something? And I've got an answer for that. I think God is not trying to say anything different than he said in the book of Genesis. And the book of Genesis was that this world is broken, it is sinful, it is not the world I intended, not the world of the Garden of Eden, and there will be misfortune, destruction on people. It's just the way things are. It will be put to rest at the end of the Bible in the book of Revelation, when the new heavens and the new earth will be restored. So this is to be expected.
Well, and of course, in a former life, I was a meteorologist before I came out here. And moving here, I knew, because I'd studied it, that this is a semi-arid climate, is the technical term for it. And one of the characteristic traits of that kind of area, that kind of climate, is you might get a lot of rain, or you might not get any rain. It's the extremes. And in other parts of the country where there is more rain on a regular basis, there's less variation year to year, but here it can be pretty extreme. And because of that, we all know living here that we're in a wildfire zone. So there are instructions out there, if you go find them, of how to clear out the area around your house, the kind of roofing material to use, because we know eventually there will be a fire. We just don't know when.
I remember back in 1991 when my house was built, I had just moved from Los Angeles, which then was wildfire prone, as it is now, and wood shake shingles were on my roof. And the builder had explained the local codes require wood shake shingles.
Literally wood, for folks who haven't seen it before.
Stuff that burns.
Yeah, kindling is what we call it in Kentucky.
And I said, what about fires? He said, we have plenty of water. And he was right. Then summer rainstorms were very frequent and severe, and so we weren't worried back then. But we're now in a different part of the cycle.
Yeah, we're in a drought cycle. And you're comparing this to life. There is a lesson here in the larger scale.
It is, particularly to politics. We're in a bit of a political drought now with the disappointments of the Obama administration. And people have said, well, we're on a straight line to the end times. I think not. I think that the political cycles are unlike the weather cycles. They're up and they're down, they're good and they're bad. Stuart, I remember one of the darkest days around Focus on the Family here. It was when the new president was elected that was counter to all of our beliefs, and he had a brand new Congress, his own party that supported him, and so we thought the end had to be near. This was 1992, the election of Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
What happened? Well, the cycle turned, and in 1994 we had the historic sweep of the House of Representatives and a new speaker, Newt Gingrich, and not all problems were solved, obviously, but President Clinton was reelected. But following that, we had 8 years of a much friendlier president, President Bush. So cycles come and cycles go. And I say this just so people don't lose hope. There will be wetter times in Colorado. There will be better times in national politics because cycles come and cycles go.
Now, there are some hard facts that we have to deal with here. One is the Supreme Court. The president, as we predicted before the election, has placed 2 members on the Supreme Court who are now on the most liberal part of the liberal wing, especially Justice Sotomayor is way out there on the left. That's going to continue even after this presidency is over. We also have to understand that well, here we've got health care in place. The economy is still lousy because the actions taken by the president are not really designed to help the economy. They're designed to keep Democrats in power over the long term. How do we deal with that?
Well, let's just think about the Supreme Court. That's a good illustration. I remember the despair that befell a lot of us when the court issued its 1973 ruling called Roe v. Wade, and the fact that abortions would flourish, and they have. A lot of people thought the end times were close back then because we were killing our innocent preborn children. Well, what happened? A lot of those innocent children did die, and they still do, but the pendulum is slowly swinging because of a lot of hard work. A lot of incremental legislation has cut back on the availability of abortions. Ultrasound machines are now showing people what nobody could see in 1973, what a preborn child in a womb looked like. Abortions now are dropping. We're swinging out of that pendulum. The cycle is turning, and we are about to enter a downswing on the issue of marriage. We believe that we're just days away from a negative court decision on the issue of marriage. A lot of people will despair and they will think, well, the end times are coming. No, God's plan for marriage follows his definition of marriage. One man, one woman united in marriage for life. Social science shows that is the best way to raise children. I think there will be some social devastation in the years ahead, but I think the cycle will once again turn when our view of marriage, which is God's view of marriage, once again prevails, even as his view of the innocence and the sacredness of unborn life is now returning.
It's, I think, important in all of this to keep a proper perspective as we move forward, because it's easy when you're surrounded by the certain changes that the government's forcing upon us to just say, well, that's just the way it is, and you forget to be shocked after a while. We literally just came out of a meeting in which we sat and heard how Obamacare is going to change the health care plans right here, and it's not good news. I mean, it's going to be more expensive, there will be fewer deductions, it's going to limit what your employer can do, it's going to limit what you can do, it's going to limit where you can go, and it all seems to be directing everything toward what many euphemistically call a single-payer system, meaning the government runs everything. It's not good, it's ugly, and unfortunately in a few years people may say, well, it's just the way it is, and just sit back. It's going to be important for us to keep reminding people it doesn't have to be this way. This is a nation that was founded on the idea of individual liberty and individual freedoms, and not government running everything in our lives.
And it can be different, and I think that's going to cause a lot of people to wake up and pay attention. You realize that when the president was reelected, there was only 58% of the voting population registered, only 58% of registered voters showed up. I have an idea that things might get worse because of the health care law, but that will make a lot more people pay attention. And I think in the year 2016, the pendulum will begin to swing again, just as we saw it swing after 8 years of Bill Clinton.
And we all need to keep talking about why that's important and why we need to move the country in the proper direction.
Not only talking, but praying
taking action.
And working for good candidates, contributing money, and getting other like-minded people to vote as well.
As we wrap up, I want to give you a chance just to offer encouragement and hope for folks who are feeling a little depressed right now, who are feeling down about the way that the nation is heading. What's your encouragement to all of us?
Oh, again, it's the pages of the Bible. God understands everything. God has explained everything. God offers hope through everything. You know, the Bible verse in the New Testament says the rain falls on the just and unjust. A little bit pertinent to Colorado right now, but indeed it's nobody's fault, and it's not God's turning away from our country that's causing it. It is the natural cycles of a broken, sinful world, which will be made right in Revelation chapters 21 and 22. It's all laid out.
All right. Tom, thank you for that
You're
encouragement. And thank you for watching. We encourage you to write to us. Give us your thoughts, your opinions. What do you think about all this? You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. Remember to pray for the families who lost their homes in the wildfires here in Colorado. Pray for the first responders, many of whom are still out there right now as we're sitting here fighting the leftovers of the fire and trying to make sure the containment lines are still strong and solid as we have more windy and hot weather on the way later this week. Pray for all those who are impacted by this, that they would find the peace that can only come from God alone. And remember, stand tall and be heard.